You're listening to the Baha'i World News Service.
Now live at local house of worship.
Pagpapalilingkod kay Baha'i.
A group of youth serving at the Bahá'í World Centre sat down with the news service to have a conversation about the Bahá'í Houses of Worship in their home communities. They discussed how these temples manifest the practical interplay between service and worship, creating space for prayer and contemplation, while inspiring a desire to contribute to the material and social progress of society.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for sitting with us today. Maybe we can start with everybody introducing themselves. Just tell us who you are and where you're from.
My name is Pacifique, and I'm from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I'm Aharna from India.
I'm Leili from Colombia.
And I'm Deeba from Canada. So today the topic of our conversation is about houses of worship and the way they contribute to the life of a community and promote social progress. But maybe each of you can share a little bit about like your community and the house of worship that's there.
India is known to be one of the biggest houses of worship in terms of population. Also, the architecture itself, it's a lotus temple. That's what we call it, and the locals call it. And lotus is significant to India because it is also a national flower, of course, but also through religious sense. And then the architecture itself shows purity in the sense that when the lotus, it's known to come in a muddy, what is it called?
Like a swamp.
Yeah. It's dirty, but then the lotus itself, it rises above that, and which is so beautiful and symbolic for us as humankind to think of it in terms that, okay, our times can be tough. Humanity has lots to get through, but are we, knowing that we are noble beings and we have souls that are so pure, we focus on that and then we rise above this dirty swamp. So that really inspires hope in us and builds this understanding that, yes, there's a hopeful future.
For us, we had like the bounty to have one of the recent national temple or Baha'i temple in Kinshasa, where I'm from. And that temple was announced back in 2012. We finally inaugurated the temple this year, March. So it's really something that the community were very happy to receive that news from the House of Justice, our supreme body. And also throughout those years, we have already received the temple in our heart. And throughout those process of acquiring the site and also all of the construction work, we could see the devotional life in the community were really empowered with that news.
In the culture of Norte del Cauca, it's a culture that it's very artistic and people like to sing and dance, and that's something that brings people together. And so for the dedication, this is something that we noticed that this temple needs a choir, but we didn't really have the human resource to have a choir. And we were not used to the concept of a choir. We will just sing in a circle together. And this friend from Chile, her name is Lidia, and she's the director of the choir in Chile. She came to help us in Norte del Cauca. So this was very, very interesting because the people, we said, well, we need to have a choir. People come, people who wants to sing. If you don't sing, anyways, come. And so we met this first time, and it was a bunch of people. After that, the second meeting was not that big, and it was going less and less and less and less until we got the people that was actually committed to have this choir. And so the dedication came, and Lydia said, like, well, I cannot stay here forever. I need to go. So one of you needs to rise as a director of the choir. And so one of the friends in the choir, she was 15, so she didn't really knew nothing about music or directing a choir, but it was actually a teamwork. And so she learned, and the second day of the dedication of the temple, she was the one directing the choir, and it was very impressive to see how this community that had no knowledge about a choir and music was doing it, and then the people of the community noticed that. And so every Sunday, people want to listen to the choir. And so this all came together, and friends were attracted. And so the friends in the choir in the choir were attracting the other friends. And so that actually really, really helped with the people to come.
Have you had any like personal experiences with visitors, like had a conversation with people who come for the first time?
There was this family once that came to the house of worship to visit, and then they were from another religion, so they came into the house of worship, and then they had a lot of questions, and one of them took a prayer book and started reading it. And they asked me, but like you can sing. And I said, yeah, we sing. And he was like, can you sing a prayer that you do? And so I sing a prayer, a very, very short prayer, and this man starts crying. And he says that his wife that was there too was sick. And this woman said that she's feeling relieved, not like she doesn't have any more pain, but like her soul and she feels better, and she feels relieved. And so that really, I don't know, I remember that with love, that memory of that day.
That's so special.
I think it was this prayer that says, it's in Spanish.
You can translate it. We have translators. Spanish is good. Sing it. Yeah.
Sure. So it says, rompe las cadenas de este mundo y libera tu alma de la prisión del yo. Aprovecha tu oportunidad, pues no volverá a ti. No volverá a ti nunca más.
Amazing. Well done. Nice one. Do you know the translation of it? Like, or even the first few words?
Yeah, I don't know how to translate it, but it's basically telling you to break the chains of the world and free your soul, because this opportunity will never come back to you.
So we know that these houses of worship, they stimulate a lot of community building activities in and around the temple. Can you describe or tell us about these?
Before the construction of the temple in the Democratic Republic of Congo, there were also those movement of youth and friends in the community to go to the temple site and just to try to do service project for a couple of weekends. They would go like Saturday, Friday, and they come out like Sunday, and so those kind of meetings were organized a few times, where they would just prepare the land and try to remove weed from the site, and just pray afterwards and together, and it was just amazing. Yes, it's just that spirit of service. It brings happiness in the hearts of of people.
I think this is something that we've all experienced, no? Like young people, they're seeing their world around them. I guess as we're growing up, we're like trying to be adults, we're trying to, mature and all of these things. And we're seeing, and maybe also like affected by these forces, like people not prioritizing their education and like prioritizing maybe like making money or kind of their social activities and things like that. And kind of, like there's a lot of potential that could be used towards more empowering or more productive things. We all come from different parts of the world, but I'm sure this is like a common experience.
For example, we know lack of education also is really the root of many things that we see in our society. So we have like friends, youth that want maybe to consecrate their time to try to educate those younger sister and brother in their community.
Definitely. And coming from psychology, I have a background in psychology, and I can tell you purpose in life is something that we all know really brings a sense of hope and fills our heart with so much joy to work towards something, have a vision for the future. Otherwise, there can be so much uncertainty. And then when we empower youth and it's a period of confusion. Of course, you don't know what your likes are, your dislikes, you're still figuring out life. But once you see that, I have capacities within me that I can nurture, whether it's, helping out a friend, being this generous individual or a kind individual. These are the virtues we promote in the community building effort and in the classes that we hold. So in a way that really, as when they grow up as individuals, they have this sense of purpose, this sense of identity, that yes, and I can contribute to my community. I am important in my community. I have an important role to play. Each one of us have that role to play, and we can together grow and learn together. It's not just, I'm not isolated, it's together. And it's such a beautiful vision for the future, just to know that, to envision this community.
I think we can feel like very hopeless sometimes. Like we watch the news and we hear things and we see things in our community, and there's like sometimes this feeling of like, what are you going to do? Like how can you affect change? But maybe it's a house of worship or the communities around them, but there's always this like attitude of hope, and we have vision, we have like you said, purpose and identity. They propel us forward.
Definitely, it's this growing understanding, because it's something so powerful, so impactful and inspiring. The word of God, it has such spiritual forces at play, you can say it, and we give it time, we can definitely see the transformation, the change.
Yeah, like if we want to have, like you're saying, like your soul is touched, that comes through prayer. We can like act a certain way and that'll have some sort of change, and we can be educated and that has change on our minds, but then like the soul is really, really attracted to prayer, and seeing all of these kind of come together, how much transformation happens.
I think that's the magic in the combination of adoration, worship, and serve and service. So there's actually magic in that combination because the inspiration that you get from the worship, it's an inspiration that you can't get anywhere else, and it's an inspiration that have a very big impact in whatever activity you do. And so that's why you can't just keep worshiping and keep those, let's say, magical powers in a cage, and then when you put those things in the things you do in the community, then the impact is bigger and it grows, and it, like they say, it shares with the people around you. And so as Pacifique was saying, these families in the community have a lot of kids, and they're big families, and sometimes there is no access to education, or there's no access to a very comfortable lifestyle, you see? But these people are still happy, and they still have this joy. And it's because this concept of worship and service, I remember for the dedication of the house of worship, people from more than 60 communities came, and they brought a little bit of soil from their houses in every community, and then this soil was put in this like clay jar, and and people, and then all this soil from everywhere in the community was together. And so it was like symbolic. And people, you don't imagine the faces. They were so happy. They were so happy because it's very easy to see just the bad part of the community, and you know how there's a lot of hunger and people, there's no educator, but then there's another side that is bright, and it's something that have been there always, and now there's people seeing it, and like, you know, it's being appreciated. So I think that also brings joy to the community, rejoice the hearts.
And just to remind yourself every day that we have been created by God. So our purpose really is to worship God. And so through prayer, it's help people in the community to reflect, to be in that state of meditation, to think about God, to think about the writings of God, just reflect about our life and what's our contribution that we can bring to the society.
There's a quotation in the Baha'i writings. It goes, "Let your actions day by day be beautiful prayers." So, and in the house of worship in India, Sunday mornings is dedicated for morning prayers. It's called dawn prayers. And then the community comes together early in the morning. First thing they do is come together, begin the day with beautiful prayers. And then you can see the change suddenly after they've had the morning prayers. They go back. I mean, they are so rejuvenated. They are ready for the day, but also the week ahead. So it's this act of coming together and praying, and just gives inspiration to them. And really it's the culture we are trying to build of unity and coming together that really is very powerful, and we hope that many friends can be inspired and take up this initiative.
I was thinking, like, you know, none of these houses of worship are like their own building. You know, it's open doors. People come in, they pray, and they take that spirit out with them. I like the way that you describe that, actually, that like if you just prayed and prayed and prayed and you worshipped and you worship, and you just kind of collect all this energy, you have to release it into the community, and that's done through action, through service. And
even when we see like in the example of the temple in Congo, so you see, because where the temple is, in the temple site, we have also other spaces where people can, like in the community, gather and try to have like meetings and some activity together. So we have seen that people would go and start with a prayer in the temple together, and then later on they go to their whatever gathering they are holding, and that really set the tone for how the gathering is going to enroll. So you see just people with that sense of prayer and consultation. So it's just give another mood in the
whole spirit is elevated.
The whole spirit is elevated.
Thank you guys so much for coming and sharing with us. These are really beautiful stories that you shared. It's amazing to have these kind of conversations and to hear from all these different houses of worship.
No, thank you so much for this space. Really, it's very nice to see how we're very similar, even though we're from extremely different parts of the world. The community is very kind of the same nature, so it's very beautiful to see that. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
You're listening to the Baha'i World News Service, reporting on major developments and endeavors of the global Baha'i community. For more information, visit news.baha'i.org.